So let's talk about the design of the Wolfman that you've got.
Yeah.
There hasn't been much seen in the trailer, but what's been your influences and where have you drawn influence from? What can we expect that might be different, maybe?
Well, the I I really wanted to draw influence. I wanted it to be a grounded take, something that felt real. That was my approach with Invisible Man. Was how can I make it feel like this story could happen? That this is not some outlandish science fiction, but a thing that could actually happen. And I felt like I found a pretty good lane for Invisible Man. Um, with this, I think the direction I wanted to go in was something more disease driven. I was Arian Tushin, who's the makeup designer. He and I were looking at a lot of photos of skin diseases. It's not a fun thing to Google.
That must have been a fun night.
Yeah, once you start looking into leprosy and all this different stuff, but that was sort of more the angle we were taking it from. This is not like the Twilight werewolf. That's not what we're going for here. We're going for something that is really sits in more of a body horror type world. And I still think though that we're giving Wolfman fans and horror fans what they want. I think we had to serve both audiences. We had to give people something grounded so that any audience could walk in, even non-horror fans, and be like, oh, I can relate to this story. But I also wanted to make sure horror fans were like, oh man, this is one for the ages. I go back to, I've mentioned this before, but I thought a lot during this process about what they did with Heath Ledger in The Joker. If you think about the history of the Joker, his appearance in the comic book, the way he looked, and then the television series in the 60s, there's been so many iterations, and each one has sort of been reflective of its time and its filmmaker, and I thought what they did with Heath Ledger was really great. I remember loving it. They didn't give you the Joker that you expected. It was a variation on what we'd come to expect. And that's what I was aiming at for this was to give people something that they would say, oh, now this is now my Wolfman. In the same way that when I was growing up, if I thought of werewolves, I thought of American Werewolf in London. I want people growing up now to be like, this is my werewolf. So
Now,
hopefully you'll still be
I'm
freaked out by it.